Okay, welcome back to the second part of the fundamental analysis. So, like I said in the former lecture, we'll now be heading to um, some of these websites that we can use in checking our fundamental. So, the first one will be the Life Finance website, which is advisably the best to use. Then the Forex Factory website. So those are the two that I'll check. Then the my FX book, you can actually look for that on your Play Store or your App Store for download, or any other related app that performs the same function. So the next thing to do is to go to our website address www.lifefinance.ng.com. I click that, then it's going to load and take me to the landing page. So if you are just a new user, you can sign up, but I have an account already, so I'll click on login. Then my password is already saved, so I'm logged into the account now. So for you to now check some of this fundamental, you head straight to the analytic part of the website, the analytics. So under the analytics now, you click on calendar. So click on the calendar. So on the calendar now, you can see some displays. You can see some things here called priority. You can see one. We have one dot here. We have two dots here. We have some that are going to probably show three dots. So what this priority is telling us is that we have some news that have low impact for one dot. If it is two dots, it means we have the news is actually a medium impact news. And if it is three dots, it means it is an high impact news. So mostly we only or majorly look at those high impact news because they are the one that moves the market the most, during this fundamental release. During the release of most of this one with one priority and two priority, you hardly notice some of this movement. You hardly notice them. So that is why we actually majorly look at those with three dots, or those called high impact news, or some will call them red folder news. So if it's not high impact, you can call them those with the highest priority with three dots, or you say that with red folder. So you can actually go to the filter that is here and filter them to show you only those with the highest impact. So the high impact news alone. So you go to the filter, you can see the low, the medium, and the high. So you can click on the high. And at the same time, probably the only thing you trade is just the US dollar. You can click and select on United States. But the best way is to just leave the country, don't select any, pick the high impact, and then you click on apply. So it's going to apply the setting such that it's going to take away those with one priority and those with two priority, and will be left with only the ones with the highest priority, which is three. So we click on the high, we apply the settings again. So there we have it. So it means for today now, the only high impact news that is left that we're expecting is this durable goods order MOM and crude oil inventories. So for today, we can check for tomorrow. We'll click on tomorrow. You can check the one for yesterday. So if you click on tomorrow as well, it's going to load up the expected fundamentals for tomorrow. And at the same time, you can click on this week if you want to see from Monday till Friday for this week. And then we can also check for next week. Before next week, we want to know what are the fundamentals that we should be expecting for next week. So these are the fundamentals expected for tomorrow. Then I can filter and change it only to the high impact news. I don't want the medium or anything. So for tomorrow now, we have the GDP initial job claims. This initial job claims is one of those high impact news that moves the market a lot. So now, what do we check for actually here? We check for um, these three things: the previous, the forecast, the current. So because this, we have not had this news released, it's still meant for tomorrow now. We can see that the current is blank. But now, this previous is telling us that the previous month now, the past month, on this for this particular GDP QOQ release and initial job claims, we have some values, some figures for them in the previous month, 3.4% from previous month. Now, there are some economic experts that have forecasted that, okay, it is probably going to come down to 2.5%. But that's not to tell you that when the news is going to be released, it's going to be this 2.5%. It might actually be higher and it might actually be lower. And that is one of the reasons why we experience those high volatility. So then, if you look at this initial job claims now, we have 212K for the previous month, 212,000. Then the forecast is that it's going to increase. Those that are jobless, 215K. That's those that are jobless is going to increase from this 212,000 to 215,000. So from this little one, we'll be expecting that the US dollar is going to actually get weaker. But that's not to tell us that the current value that will be released, or the value that will be released tomorrow, is going to actually be in this range. It might be way above this, and it can be lower than that of the previous month, or this as well. So we wait for the fundamental release to enable us to determine the strength of the dollar. You can see it measures the number of individuals who filed for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. So when they are unemployed people, they file for insurance. So these are some of the data that determines the strength of a particular currency. So if the news is positive, it means the US dollar is going to actually gain value or gain strength. And if it is negative, it means the US dollar is actually going to be weaker. So if you look at that of yesterday, let's check that the release for yesterday. You can filter them to show us the high impact alone. Then you apply the settings. I believe you can see the first place I went to is analytics. Clicked on my calendar and then look at the different dates I'm checking for. If it's today, I will check for today. So this yesterday now, these were some of the news that were released. If we see the numbers for the previous month, it was 15.9, and it was forecasted that it's going to increase to 52.0. And look at what was released yesterday. This has been released. That's why we had it as 49.9. So for next month now, this current is going to be our previous. So it means this particular figure that was released now was in fact lower than what was forecasted and lower than for the previous month. So the same thing happened with this. For the previous month, it was 51.7. It was anticipated or forecasted to be 52.0, and when it was released, it was 50.9. If you look at your chart around this time, you're going to experience a lot of surge or movement in USD pairs. You see big bullish candle or big bearish candle depending on the direction that this fundamental is taking that currency. If it is weaker, if the news is negative, it means the US dollar is going to be selling against whatever pair, against whatever currency it's paired against. So that is how it is. So this is how you check for your fundamentals on our Life Finance website under your own profile, in your own profile when you log in. So which means it is very easy to go through or to navigate through our website and check for your fundamentals. So the second one is the Forex Factory, forexfactory.com. So we check forexfactory.com. So this is how Forex Factory own is displayed. So all we need to concern ourselves about under here is the calendar. That is what we want to check. And please, we need to make sure that we check our time zone. We ensure that the time zone is actually in the same time zone that we are in. For example, it might be West African time zone, Your own might be Central African time zone, it might be East African time zone. So you have to ensure that it's actually the time is set to your time zone. You can see my own here. It is West Central Africa time zone. So then if you change it, if there's any changes you make here, you save the setting. So then also for this, you can actually check for different things. You can pick for it today, you can pick for tomorrow, you can pick for next month and all that. But before that, I need to set my filter. This is where the filter is. Just like we set for the high impact on our life finance website. Here now you can see this is what we call it, the red folder. So we have this is the medium impact, this is the low impact, and this one has no impact. So I have no concern with all this, so that's why I have to select the red folder. That's why we said red folder news, high impact news, or those with three dots like we see on life finance website. So you can select the type of news you want to be getting, probably from the central bank, about employment, about inflation, about speeches. But I don't need to remove any, since all these can actually be high impact news. So I expect any of them to move the market. Probably the only pair you trade is Euro, and you don't want to concern yourself about others. So you can actually click those news that you want to. I don't want to get any high impact news from AUD, Australian dollar, or Canadian dollar, like that. But it is better for you to select all, because at the end of the day, especially USD news, Euro news, and GBP news, they affect all the markets. They affect whenever they are being released. You see a lot of movement on even other pairs, though it might be limited, it might be slower compared to those major pairs, but at the same time they are going to also experience high volatility. So we apply the filter that we have picked, so it has been applied. So the next thing to do is I'm checking the high impact news for today. After clicking on today, then I apply the setting. So these are the news I'm expecting, the high impact news I'm expecting for today. So you can actually also check for tomorrow. On this particular day, you check, then you apply the setting. It's going to give you the list. It will tell you the time. This is the current time that we are in here. Then by 1:30 p.m. West African time, I should be expecting a USD related news about this, unemployment claims and others. Then by 3 p.m. I should be expecting a news on pending home sales and others. Then, like we have on the other websites or life finance website that will check, previous, you have a previous, you have a forecast, and then you have an actual. So the previous is for the previous week, it was 3.4%. It's forecasted that it's going to drop down to 2.5%. So wait until the release to know the actual number to expect. So you can also check for the whole month or for this week. So you can check for this week alone and you apply your settings. If you check from Monday, all this has been released Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, this is Friday, and so on and so forth. And you can actually check for the whole month. So it's just for you to change the setting this month. So we are going to look at some of those important news. Friday of first Friday of the month now. That's when we have the NFP, non-farm payroll. You can see it here. Then we have the CPIs. We have the FOMC release. We have core PPI here. Unemployment claims. These are very, very highly volatile fundamental release. Then you have the BOE, Fed Chair Powell speaks during this time. We see a lot of movement as well. The BOJ, Bank of Japan, Japanese yen, any related peer to JPY is going to be affected. You're going to see a lot of fast and high volatility during those times. So this is how we actually check for our fundamentals. So the third way, like I said earlier, is for you to download the app on your phone. If you don't want to be going to your browser to enter different websites, you can actually download the app on your phone. So, um, like I said in the previous lecture, is the best way for a newbie in forex is to avoid trading the fundamentals, so with experience you know how to enter trades with this. But the reason why you have to understand this now is so you won't be surprised when you are now seeing big candles on your chart. You're seeing fast movement, then you'll be like, what is happening? Is the world coming to an end? No, it is not. So when you now read, you take your time. You can take your time to read through all of this news release for you to be able to now decode whether the currency is going to be strong or is going to be weak for a particular month or for a particular week or for a particular day. So I believe with this we can easily uh, navigate through checking our fundamentals. So one of those important things as a forex trader is to check for a fundamental release that is expected for a particular day. Before you start your trading day, open your forex factory, open your live finance, and check the analytics, check for the expected fundamental release for a particular day. So when you do that, you know what pair to avoid or what pair to be careful in trading. So and you'll be able to make a better decision while trading, because sometimes your trade might be in profit and suddenly you see it closing you out. Sometimes it's because of a fundamental release. So when you're expecting that a news will be released, you might actually close your trade totally in profit, or you set your stop loss to be so that, okay, even if the fundamental release is against me, I will actually close out without a loss or in small profit. And you might be fortunate enough, the fundamental might actually align with your technical. That's when you are going to see that your trade hits TP in a very short period of time. So uh, that is all that about fundamentals. So thank you for listening. If there is anything you do not understand yet, you can go back to the video, watch again, and I believe with time you're going to get used to looking at your fundamental calendar every day. Thank you. See you in the next class.